Hello there, my friends. Here I am, Jason, the YouTube Restore, pulling your cards for the last day of March. Wow. Isn't that crazy? Spirit, what do we need to know for our greatest good for today, the last day of March, for the collective? Okay. What do we need to know, Spirit? Please give us a sign for our greatest good in regards to today. What do we need to be made aware of to live our lives out in love and light today? All right. All right. So let's see. I am actually going to be doing the Celtic Cross. I never, ever do the Celtic Cross, okay? The reason being, I don't know what I'm doing. But you know what? It is what it is, right? Okay, so what I see here at the bottom of the deck, all right, is the world, all right? Meaning we have reached the ending of a cycle, all right? And we are ultimately ready to go on the journey that we have been ultimately looking for, okay? It's the kind of situation, my friends, the Three of Wands is all about, the Two of Wands is all about packing for a trip. The Three of Wands is all about getting on that plane to go on the trip, all right? We're taking a giant step towards exactly where we're meant to be today. Know that and understand that an ending of a cycle has come forward and you are taking action on this new beginning, okay? Now, ultimately, what's helping and hindering is ultimately there is a decision that we're going to be making. We understand it is a massive decision to ultimately go on this journey. We may be feeling a little bit nervous about ultimately walking away from the ultimate past, all right? Because that's what we were so used to. You know, like we got so settled down in a area of discontent that we got used to it. You know, we acclimated to it. And I feel as if we finally realized we do not belong in a house with roaches and rats and a messed up bathroom. We deserve to live in a place full of nothing but health and just life and vibrancy. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what we're doing today. We are seeing that ultimately we're destined for greater things. We're turning our back on the things that have not served us to ultimately welcome in the things that do. All right. Now, ultimately, what's in the distant past? We were healing spiritually. We were healing spiritually, subconsciously, digging deep into the shadows and bringing on the power of the moon, ultimately having that spiritual awakening. All right. However, I feel as if we didn't really know exactly, all of this was happening because I feel as if we were so caught up in um, preventing the process in regards to facing our past. You know what I mean? Because no one wants to revisit their past, but that's the only way that we're going to heal. If we ultimately see what we've been through, nip it in the bud to welcome in the things that do. And what's in the near future is ultimately clarity, calm, serenity, just like clear thinking. All right, no one understand that we this has been a journey, and it's in this journey that we went from being afraid to being clear, knowing exactly what we needed to do but being afraid to do it, to ultimately bringing on what we need to do. All right, as you can see over here on our strength, all right, is we have given birth to activity. We know exactly what we need to do, and we're ultimately taking charge of it. No one understand with the Queen of Wands is the queen that ultimately gives birth to intuition. She knows where she's going, which is why we ultimately have moved past this feeling of being afraid to face the shadows, to ultimately bring on the clarity and calm to make those moves. No one understands with the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands gives birth to activity and ultimately, takes flight knowing exactly what she deserves, what she needs, and what is coming into her life, what she's giving birth to. All right. The things that ultimately with that strength, the things that we're overcoming, that we have overcome, is the feeling of the people around us that ultimately haven't had our backs. Having the wrong set of people, all right, dating the wrong person, having a friend that ultimately is a backstabber. You know what I mean? It's the kind of situation that's the ultimate root of this issue at hand. We were afraid to open up. We were afraid to let those ones in that will ultimately lift us higher on this path that we're taking on today. All right, no one understand when it comes down to it. With this clarity, we're seeing the kind of relationships that we need to bring in. We are seeing the things that ultimately cause conflict, and we're seeing the things that we're giving birth to that will ultimately have us rise above, listen to our intuition and spirituality, knowing exactly where we're going and how fast we're getting there, my friends. I'm telling you, a massive, massive, massive spiritual awakening. All right. In regards to the problem around right now, I feel as if we are feeling a little impatient, but spirit is ultimately handing us emotional fulfillment. No one understand when it comes down to it. We've been like, all right, we've been, in this state of like, like stagnancy. It's the kind of situation, my friends. Ultimately, what you've been waiting for, external factors, is this is coming into your life. This weight, this feeling of like ultimately, like what the heck, it has also been a moment where ultimately we were able to, like zone in on this, like energy to ultimately bring on the patience needed. Like it was kind of like, an impatient waiting game. However, it's a kind of situation no one understand. Spirit is showing us that we have ultimately moved forward past that feeling of impatience, past that feeling of feeling as if like ultimately, like what is the holdup. I feel as if what's coming forward, my friends, the external factors, is ultimately we are going to be getting this fairy tale ending. We are going to be getting ultimate emotional fulfillment full of love, romance, um, just emotional stability, my friends. And they lived happily ever after, full of children. It's a kind of situation, ultimate emotional fulfillment. That's what's been happening in the background. This is what you've been getting ready for, my friends. No one understand the angels have been by our side, having guided us for so long, but we were afraid that, we weren't feeling that guidance. You know what I mean? The temperance card in reverse is all about, like having to be an alchemist of your life and doing so, but like, like ultimately not seeing the point. But the point was is to bring on a spiritual awakening, to bring on a stronger version of ourselves, to bring on just confidence and just mastering your emotions. My friends, this is the renewed version of us. Know and understand, by making whatever decision we're making today, my friends, we are ultimately making it knowing exactly what will give us emotional fulfillment, what will ultimately bring on creativity and spirituality and love. Kings ultimately rule their castle. Kings ultimately welcome those into their kingdom that will ultimately do them well and deflect those that will ultimately be their demise. We are only bringing in the connections that will ultimately bring forward this emotional satisfaction. We know the relationships we need in our lives. We know the energy that we are ultimately living with, and we know the energy that we're welcoming in. And we understand that when it comes down to it, we have been hurt before. People have backstabbed us, people have ultimately made us feel less than. But within this healing process, we have found the strength to move forward. We have found the us that will ultimately always have our backs. We know who we are. We know our strength. We know our power. We know what we deserve, and we will not settle for anything less, my friends. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful energy. Know when it comes down to it, we are ultimately on this plane going to that destination that we're meant to be on. This destination is going to be the destination that we have always meant to be in for such a long time. Spirit is saying there's going to be a situation coming forward that's going to make you feel, okay, I'm on this plane. Do I really, really, really want to be on this plane, or do I want to turn around? Spirit is saying ultimately know that you are hitting a moment where you're going to make a decision based upon your own well-being. Listen to your heart, listen to your emotions. What feels right? What do you know will give you emotional satisfaction? You know exactly what you need to do. Now is your opportunity to act on it, because what's to come is nothing but a fairy tale ending full of love, creativity, spirituality, and just angelic communication. All right, listen to the universe, because the universe wants you to have everything in this world and more. You've reached the ending of a cycle today. And this ending of a cycle is an ending in regards to a journey that you've taken to bring on the ultimate, 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 ultimate awakening, knowing that a chapter has come to a close and a beautiful one is beginning. My name is Jason, the Intuitive Restorer. If you identify with the things I've said, subscribe, like. The more you like this video, the faster this reading will go out. I post these readings weekly. All right, so definitely, jump on the bandwagon. That is Intuitive Restorer. I do personalized readings as well. You can reach out to me through my email, Intuitive Restore. I do half-hour readings, hour readings. We could definitely go through, those options, pricing, and you could also reach out to me through comments. All right. I run 2 Facebook groups. My first Facebook group is called Intuitive Restore, where I go live weekly along with releasing these readings, and I also run another group called Soulful Sharing, where it's more of a collective amongst me and my 3 friends. It's a public platform. So if you have any kind of gift you would like to share that has nothing to do with infomercials or the next big toaster, by all means, go ahead and reach out. Beautiful spiritual healing energy only. All right. So I love all y'all very much. Live your best life. Know that what is happening today, the rest of your lives. Love you guys. Bye.